Z. Peace, welcome back. Secret House Against, Tokyo-based hip-hop art and culture conversations. Independent, underground, avant-garde, abstract, experimental hip-hop conversations. You guys know us. It's me and Jet per usual. And today we got back the homie and an alumni of the show, the great Scott Popular.
What it do?
Artist, event organizer out here. He's rocking. He's the HNIC of running the events up at the Legacy Lounge, Soul Food House. You know, if you come out here to Tokyo, that's the black epicenter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and we love having Scott on, so thank you for joining us, Scott Popular.
Let's go.
You know what I mean? And today we're back to discuss Beans' new album, Zwaard. You feel like that's pronounced right? Zwaard?
Zwaard.
I think so.
Zwaard. 14 songs, 46 minutes. It dropped in the middle of last month. Beans is a legendary underground, independent, avant-garde, experimental hip-hop champion who has been putting it down for hip-hop since I remember hearing him maybe my last year of high school. He's a member of the mighty Anti-Pop Consortium. Consortium.
That's right.
Yeah, Consortium. And yeah, he's been around, man. Like, if you know, you know. And if you don't, like, man, I think he said on the album he's 50 years old. And just, you know what I mean, really.
I can tell.
We can have some Anita Baker.
Yeah, we can.
Get copyright claim hard.
Some great time.
A little bit of Anita Baker.
Yeah,
Dirty Hop.
Hold on, let me run it back. You know what I mean? But yeah. Hold on, let me put something else on. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, we're talking about his album today, which is not like an album that he's not an artist that hasn't put out work. I remember his album Ace Balthazar, or maybe that's the name of it. I'll be tripping on the notes sometimes, but he put out something a few years back that I was really fucking with, and yeah, Ace Balthazar, which came out in 2019. Also, Team Breakup 2020 and Vanga also 2020. I didn't really tap into those albums as much as I did Ace Balthazar, and yeah, I was fucking with it tremendously. How are y'all familiar with Beans?
Not at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
I know about Anti-Pop Consortium, but like him personally, zero.
Okay.
I'm gonna just come off the grip and just say what it is. This album is hard to listen to.
Okay. Hold on, let me get. I feel that.
Let me jump in.
I think that's a given, and I think that's actually something that could be said about a lot of his catalog for most hip hop heads.
Okay,
shit, right?
I
feel that.
I'll put that back in the box.
Yeah. But I feel that. I think that's a good way to start it off and shit. But Jet, how are you familiar?
I mean, of course, I'm also familiar with Anti-Pop Consortium, but the first Beans solo album I listened to was End It All because 2011 or so. I was like really, really riding hard for TV on the radio. Okay. And Tunde Adebimpe of TV on the radio has a feature on that record. I think he opens the album up, in fact. So that was when I first started, where I became really conscious of Beans as the solo artist. That album is also quite challenging, but as we're going to get into, certainly not as challenging as this one here.
Nah.
Word.
This is how you abuse a thesaurus.
All right.
Just abuse the living shit out of the glossary. Just
all right.
I'm gonna use every word I can possibly find.
I think I don't think it like a lot of times if somebody was to say that, I would say like, oh, they're just using the thesaurus as kind of pretentious. But I think that this is all just like raw vocabulary and just where he comes from. It's like some people just have larger vocabularies, and Beans has always been kind of one of those cats that I think if you go back and you listen to a lot of his work, you'll see, I mean, the name of their crew is Anti-Pop. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so there's always been this tremendous push to not like, oh, we're going to be weird for weirdness sake, but kind of I feel that they've just consciously made the decision to not follow any of the tropes or any of the rules that have been established by the larger hip-hop community while still adhering to the ethics of some real hip-hop shit. Like, we're just going to get off, we're going to do what we want to do, sample-based hip-hop, fucking add the midis, add everything, go wild, and just do what we do. And, there's a lot of cats who have done that throughout history. He's not the only one, but he definitely is one that's hard to listen to. Even myself, back then, I was not the biggest fan of Anti-Pop. I enjoyed a lot of their songs. Shopping Carts Crash. Quite a few. Arrhythmia had some good joints on it. But the cats that I was really rocking with back then were a little bit more, I want to say accessible. But, I mean, I was still listening to Anticon, for example,
Yeah.
which a lot of people thought was weird. I was listening to, I don't know, Mike Ladd, and a lot of cats that come from the same cloth in the same era and the same type of ideas that Beans puts out. That Beans is kind of adhered to, maybe, is what I could say about it. Maybe I'll go last with the ideas on it. Like, what are your general thoughts on the album outside of just motherfucker got a lot of words and has 4-minute songs with you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Like sonically, I appreciate the quirkiness, the weirdness, the anti-pop. Like,
Okay.
I like a lot of the sounds that he used. I like a lot of the tracks. But when you talk so much and you rap so much over the track, you like kind of strangling the beat.
Okay.
So I wanted to air it out, and like every now and then, I think it's number 6 or number 7. He has no names to the songs; they're just
The songs are
numbers,
not
Zwaard,
titled
yeah.
yet.
which
Zwaard.
is cool. But now you gotta like actually remember which number it was,
Yeah.
which I thought would be easier, but it ain't.
Nah, I had to put notes about it. Like, Rappers Got Burnt is track number 1.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all ain't touching Leprosy is Zwaard 6. You know what I mean? Like, it is challenging in more
So
ways.
we did the
than-
same thing. You
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
associated keywords to the number,
Yeah.
and now you gotta mentally remember that code.
Indeed.
Okay.
I actually. Oh, Jay, you want to go off?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I actually like planned many years ago on doing more or less the exact same thing. I'd like made but never finished like an EP called Sword, which is just Zwaard. In Zwaard is the Dutch for the word sword, and every
okay.
track was just Sword 1, Sword 2, Sword 3. But yeah, that never got released, so I'm actually kind of like, oh, this is fucking dope. He thought of the exact same thing I did. Probably did it a lot better than I would have done it. But yeah, I mean, the Sword, while doesn't necessarily come up as like an image in the record all that often, I feel like it does suit the overall mood of the whole thing. This like weird, sharp, metallic, jagged edged thing that you see throughout the whole record. The first 3 or 4 Zwaards are all like, they all sit at like 180 BPM. You have like these like breakcore style drum patterns. You know, he's not sampling like the same kind of breaks necessarily, but you know, the vibe is very kind of breakcore, even a little bit like Chicago footworky in places.
That's true.
And it's
I
got
heard
this
that.
but rather than the typical like repeated sample that you might see on like a DJ Earl or a DJ Nate, you have like the stream of consciousness flows where he's just like going on and on and like, you know, there isn't so much like a flow. I mean, there's a flow, but it's like he's not directly committing to like a single pocket and like staying in it.
Yeah.
He's kind of just like
Another instrument in the music
another
after a
instrument,
while.
which is like, yeah, somebody who's just going absolutely crazy on a drum set.
Yeah.
You know, who's like soloing for the 40 odd minute runtime of the record.
I felt like it was more so like slam poetry.
Okay, well that's a bit of a critique of that whole camp, I think.
Right.
I don't know, like it didn't, when I first, you know, I wanted to do a Beans album because whether I like it or not, I was going to have positive things to say about it, just because I value people who are artists, and if there's one thing you can say about Beans, it's like he's an artist and he's always been putting it down for how he feels about making music. So I've been in support of him as a big fan, even when I didn't like his work back in the day. This album, I was walking home after a partying at B-Mars one night, and I missed the last train, and so usually I never walk. Like, I'll take a taxi, but I was like, I'm not going to spend it. I'll just listen to the Beans. In the first 2 songs, I was like, damn, like I feel a way about making Scott Popular have to listen to this shit to a degree. But then as I got around to like track 5, things started to click for me, and it started to feel like, oh, I'm kind of catching more of the vision here. It started to feel like, first off, like just lyrically, these are like impossible flows. I don't even know how you perform this live, remembering this shit. On this album, he probably says more words, original words, than a lot of the cats on that fucking ranking rapper vocabulary shit. Right. He probably says more words on this album than Too Short said his entire career. You know what I mean? Like, just new words, right? And it's just it's impossible. It's like long form, incredible thought process amalgams that don't really have a clear through line a lot of times. A lot of times he'll touch on some life shit, and he'll touch on some dissing you shit, or dissing music and dissing culture and dissing people in their day-to-day nonsense.
Of scaring the hoes.
Yeah, this is more
very
scary.
much scaring the hoes.
But
yes.
at the same time, like, I think that after a while, like, you start to there's a musicality and a dancey vibe that comes with this. I feel like me as a I got into hip hop culture when I was like 12 years old as a b-boy back in the mid 90s. B-Boy Summit, freestyle session, all these things. I feel like if you're a B-boy, you kind of might click with this. Now, because you don't have to be a B-boy to click with it, but I feel like a lot of B-boys from my era, they hear this and they be like, word.
Yeah.
I get something. There's an element of this album that just, the musicality, it's almost like a lot of this sounds very like Shook World to me, like way throwback 1980s music. But if you were catapult that retro into the future, like the way that like RoboCop, how RoboCop is the future, but it look old as shit now.
Right.
There's an element of that to me here that it's like, if you listen to something like Planet Rock, right, and see that as like a cultural touchstone of hip hop sonically, this album leans more towards the Autechre side of that kind of history of hip hop music more than the sample based side.
Right.
And a lot of these beats, like, they're difficult to get to, but sometimes I was hearing him and, you're trying to get all the lyrics and they're coming at you so fast that you don't really like hold on to a lot of things except for the choruses a lot of times. Or they're not even choruses, it's like repeated sentences. Right. But sometimes he's finding pockets on these beats where it's like he's clearly writing to this because he's landing on the 3 multiple times, or landing on the 1. And it's odd. And sometimes because of the way that his voice sounds, it sounds very spoken. But he's projecting his voice out. Yes. It just sounds very spoken. And so, like, when I got track 12, Zwaard 12, which is kind of the really kind of pretty area etheric shit, like, that's when I was like, oh, this Nick, bro, he's going off on this shit. Like, I was just like, listen to this.
Just ain't cold enough for the corduroys, no frost, no bite. We've been third at mascara running. Raw mood, took a boo-boo step. Over drone kicks, kicked in the soft stuff. Pillow for fuckery. Fit had your heart.
Yeah, and see, this is pretty.
Yeah.
It's one of the more like lucid moments of the record for sure.
Yeah.
This is the cake. I do have a question for you. What's the relationship between the cake? Well, the imagery, like, was there a connection? Did I miss it? Was it vanilla? Was it chocolate? I don't know.
I don't know. The cake, the picture of the album cover, I think the singles are of him getting the cake smashed in his face.
Covered in cake, yes.
Because it looks weird. Yeah, him covered in cake are the singles. Like, at first I thought it was just like, what is that? But the cake, I think that's him getting smashed in the face with the cake.
Okay.
But
right. That's what I just wanted to know.
But like, some of the the things that he's saying also, it's not just rambling. Like, a lot of the things he's saying are real cultural critiques coming from a 50-year-old black man artist. Like, that's held it down. Like, weeping third eye mascara running. Like, some of the shit he says, like, put you to sleep for the long stay. Your crew is dry vaginas. They say your art is good, but you got bad taste. And then if you start hearing these fucking fireworks go off, and he's like, razzle and dazzle y'all, disco ball lingo berries. He gets off on a lot of these tracks just as like a creative writing assessment.
Yeah, and
but it's hard to be like, this nigga rapping.
Yeah, he is a very good rapper, but the whole thing is like, it takes all goddamn day to get to them bombs.
Yeah. Well, I feel like some of them work better for me when I'm into the beat, and I think of it more as like a EDM type of track or an IDM track than I do as like rapper stuff. Even though this is the epitome of rapper stuff.
I mean, that you
on.
do also, because
wait.
I think
you think this is the epitome.
I think that this is. I'm not saying that he's the greatest. or that the style is the best. I think that in the essence of rhyming, essence of rap, you are supposed to express yourself in a creative way with originality that doesn't compromise shit and say some shit that's dope. And I think that he clicks all the boxes of that while still being fiercely different than Kendrick or J. Cole or LP or Open Mike Eagle. By epitome of rap shit, I don't mean that he's the greatest rapper or nobody's doing this or nobody's done it better. I just mean that, like, if you rap and you have your own style, you're doing something all right. Like he's kind of
he
he's
definitely
kind of
got
like
his
a
own
unicorn. He's kind of like a
It
person.
is deeply poetic. It's very postmodern in a lot of ways. I mean, you know, there's like a Steve Reichness to it in places. Like it has this kind of the way he plays with the words. You know, not in the sense of like wordplay in the way you think about it as an MC, but like if you look at like Zwaard 12, you got like this alliteration that runs through the whole track. Punctuation of pugilist persistence, repeated blows to the head, eyes rattled like dice, penance freed. Brainwaves, words hurt, put you on the wrong side of the dirt, Christmas ornament, cobra cuddle these necks with a mic cord, musicality, lyrically left you behind, morons marooned, many moons, moms failed. Like he does these like long runs of you know, where he's really playing with the
raw
lyricism.
move, took a boo-boo step over drum kicks, kicking the soft stuff, pillow for fuckery, like you soft. Fear had your heart fluttered like the wings of a hummingbird, put you to sleep for the long stay. Your crew is dry vaginas. Like he just like a lot of times when I find the pocket, I'm like, okay, word. But it is an impossible barrage of lyrics that I actually don't expect a lot of people to fuck with this. Not at all. I think that this is for a camp of people who dig art that's challenging. This is for people who not saying it's like, oh, I listen to noise, you know what I mean? But this is for people. This is for the outsiders.
Avant-garde.
This is the avant-garde cats. You know, this is some weird shit that did take a minute for me to connect with.
This is for the connoisseurs of rappy rap.
Maybe. Well, I don't even know that because when you think of
rappity
rappity rap,
is like
it's like
there's too much
like-
discrimination in this
That was my
nation or
favorite-
location.
That
Like
was my favorite term on Zwaard too, like rappity rap. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what is a rappity rap?
That's a fucking a lyricist, a lyrical miracle lyricist. That's a rappity rapper, right? But like this shit is like, when I listen to it, I think about how the live performance would look, or how this is executed as a piece of like immediate art.
In a library?
Well, no, I mean like the way I see this is kind of like a some Blondie shit, be like a red velvet curtain behind, and he's wearing like a suit jacket with big shoulder pads, like some, you know what I mean?
There's definitely a different visual.
Yeah.
It's not like 100 goons on the stage.
It's got like that 80s glow type of sheen with the gold.
There's
you know what I
some
mean?
velvet in there somewhere.
But like sometimes I was just like, at a point like your brain kind of connects different and you just feel it like as a music. Like I don't know, man. Like this album likely will grow on me in different ways that make me like it more or maybe less. But I'll tell you what, Zwaard 12, I'm fucking with that.
Oh yeah,
and even this shit to me is hard. Like, yeah, and the production, it would be worse to me if the beats were as continuous as his flow, like as the raps, because there's all types of different production techniques going off here that are ill.
I will say that is probably the most refreshing thing about this collection of songs. Like every song is completely different from the other.
I will say my interpretation of the live performance of this record was very, very different to yours.
Okay.
Like
What was yours?
I'm imagining Beans like hunched over an SP404 with a mic stand next to it, and he like hurriedly punches in the beat and then just like gets off over the top of it.
Word.
That would be a spectacle.
In like a basement in fucking Shimokitazawa somewhere. That's my vision of it. This album does have these performative, or not performative. That sounds like a negative, like a theatrical element to it.
There we go. Yeah.
But I don't. It's not like a At first, my initial point of comparison was Bus Driver, Made in Love or Made with Love.
A 404 guy.
Very
That's
404,
like singular
very
artist.
immediate, singular. But this album's not operatic in the way that album is. It's a little. I mean, it's obviously it's darker. It's a bit more ethereal, a little more ambient. But I think lyrically. There's certainly a degree of like irreverence in the critique. It's very much like Beans feels like he's climbed the mountain, he's seen what there is to see, and he's like maybe not all that interested in it. But like, this is like a less personal, less operatic view of the hip hop landscape compared to some of the other stuff that we've talked about on the show.
It very much is like fucking steam coming from the sewer type of vibe for me too. Like kind of really grimy. Like if Planet Rock just went dystopian and he was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna rock with this. I like it overall. as a piece of art. You know, it's like watching it's like watching a movie. Like, you know, it's like, wow, that movie was fucking weird and interesting, and I'll think about it for a while. Whereas, like, you might be like, yo, I'm gonna go watch fucking this comedy again and again and again because it's funny and yeah. But yeah, there's yeah, I got so many notes, but yeah, man, this is Letters Unleashed from the Cage of Golden Era '88 nameplates is clearly like a throwback type of thing vibe for me. But yeah, what are your favorite tracks on this album if you have them?
Zwaard 6, the second part.
Okay.
The music there was awesome. And then Zwaard 1, Learn the Color of Flames.
Okay.
I like
Yeah, rappers get burned, learn the color of flames.
The Anti-Pop, the other homies are on this, like High Priest and M. Saeed are on this Anti-Pop Cats. But my favorites are 12, maybe 8, and maybe 8 is just a beat, but maybe 3. Yeah, I like 8. There's a few. Well, also, it's hard for me to fucking remember. I got a lot of likes on that album. But like, my favorite song is Zwaard. Yeah.
I'm going to go 1, 7, 12.
Okay. Yeah, word. Secret House Against. Support
Shouts
Independent
out to all
Underground.
our friends on screen, Patreons, all that good shit. Like, comment, subscribe. Beans, if you're watching this, salute first of all, and secondly, I'm just curious. Like, here on Apple Music, all the lyrics were written like in prose form rather than being written in verse. Did you write them that way, or is that just how my phone is spitting them out? I'm kind of curious.
I'm also curious why Spotify don't ever try to give me no lyrics out here, bro. Like, what is this nonsense? If I had lyrics, it would have saved me some time of scrolling back and trying to capture shit. But I didn't say many lyrics on this anyways. But yeah, Secret House.